What happens when a CEO who built his company from nothing ends up dodging forklifts and broken pallets, just to survive his first day undercover? Liam Trenton stood behind the tinted windows of his black SUV, staring at the back entrance of Store 13, an industrial-sized warehouse store on the outskirts of Pittsburgh. 19 stores now. It was hard to believe sometimes. He remembered renting a single truck, making deliveries himself. But these days, he couldn't even name half the floor managers. That's what bothered him. Complaints were coming in slow shipments, missing inventory, but corporate reports sugar-coated everything. No one ever told him how things really ran. So he shaved his beard, dyed his hair, and put on a delivery trainee uniform with the name Calvin stitched on the chest. His usually sharp suit replaced by a cheap cargo jacket and steel toe boots. None of the workers had met him. Store 13 had only opened 2 years ago, and turnover on the floor was high. He made sure his disguise looked nothing like his real self-contacts instead of glasses, posture more slouched. No one suspected a thing. He walked through the back gate and spotted a wiry woman in a yellow vest barking orders. "You Calvin?" she asked. "Yep, great, I'm Jenna Alvarez, dock lead. You're shadowing me today, don't get in the way." Jenna didn't wait for a reply. She turned and marched toward the loading dock. Liam followed, noting how loud it was, metal clanging, forklifts whirring, people shouting over each other. The air smelled of diesel and sweat. "Here's the rule," Jenna shouted. "Stay out of the way unless told otherwise. Nobody cares if your back hurts, and if you drop a pallet, you're done." Liam nodded, heart racing. He hadn't expected this kind of chaos. As they moved toward the bay doors, a forklift reversed past him fast. No horn, no signal. Liam had to jump out of the way. "Jesus," he muttered. Jenna barely glanced back. "Yeah, they're supposed to honk, but don't hold your breath." They reached Bay 4. A young guy, maybe 20, was dragging a busted pallet with boxes barely holding together. He looked up, sweat pouring down his face. "This is Ollie," Jenna said. "He's been covering double shifts since Marcus quit last month." "Hey," Ollie panted, "you the new guy?" "Yeah, Calvin, I'd shake your hand, but—" Ollie gestured to the mangled box of canned goods. Jenna pointed to the stack. "Help him unload and be quick." "We're behind." Liam rolled up his sleeves and started lifting. The boxes were heavier than they looked. After 10 minutes, he was already winded. "Careful with that one," Ollie started, but too late. Liam's foot caught on a stray piece of busted pallet wood and he went down hard. The box burst open, cans rolling across the concrete. Jenna stormed over. "What the hell was that? I said be quick, not clumsy." Liam sat up, hands scraped and sore. "I tripped on that wood." "So step around it," she snapped, then turned to Ollie. "Pick it up." "We're not running a daycare." Ollie helped him up quietly. "Don't worry, man, you should see what happened to the last guy. Broke his wrist. Management told him to clock out and go to urgent care on his own dime." Liam's jaw tightened. "They didn't cover him." "Nope." "Said it was carelessness, but that pallet's been broken for weeks. I told the manager 5 times. Liam glanced around. No safety barriers, no clear walkways, and pallets stacked so high they leaned forward. He looked up at the metal racks. One was bent inward like it had been hit. "Do you guys get safety inspections?" he asked. Ollie snorted. "Supposedly. District guy comes once a year, but he never walks the dock, just stays in the office with Phil." Phil, Liam had read that name on a few reports. Store manager, high numbers, low expenses. Now he understood why. Jenna came back with a clipboard. "Breaks in 20, then back to Bay 6. If you can't keep up, Calvin, just say so." Liam forced a smile. "I'll keep up." But inside, he was seething, not just at Jenna. This wasn't about one rude supervisor. This was a system. Unsafe, understaffed, and ignored. And he had built this company. It was on him. He followed Ollie to the next dock bay, silently vowing to see this through. If this was how one store ran, how many others were just like it? He was about to find out. Liam's back ached as he hoisted another box onto the conveyor belt in Bay 6. The sun was still low, casting long shadows across the loading floor, but the heat inside the warehouse was already unbearable. There was no air circulation. Fans were mounted on the walls, but none of them worked. He silently noted the layers of dust on the blades. Jenna was nowhere in sight, which gave Ollie a moment to lean over and whisper, "Watch out for Tully. He's on shift lead this afternoon. If he thinks you're too slow, he'll stick you with the freezer run." "What's the freezer run?" Liam asked, wiping sweat off his forehead with his sleeve. Ollie's expression darkened. "You'll see." Before he could ask more, a heavy-set man with a clipboard and a Bluetooth earpiece strode into the bay. He didn't look at anyone directly, just barked names off the sheet in his hand. Calvin, freezer, now. Liam didn't argue. He followed Tully through a side corridor that led to a metal door with a worn-out caution sticker half-peeled at the top. "Clock in here," Tully said, pointing to a wall-mounted tablet. "You got 20 minutes max. Don't screw around or we dock time." The door creaked open. The cold hit him like a punch. He hadn't been issued a thermal vest and his light jacket did nothing against the chill. The room was lit with flickering fluorescent tubes, shelves stacked with frozen meat and vegetables, and plastic wrap clinging to everything. "Stack those crates onto that pallet," Tully said, pointing at a corner of the room. "Then wheel it back to Bay 2. Don't leave anything behind, and don't expect help." The door slammed shut behind him. Liam's fingers started to sting after only a couple of minutes. The crates were half frozen and stuck together. He had to use a box cutter to separate them, and a dull one at that. As he worked, he noticed a set of cracked tiles under one of the shelving units. Water had pooled there, frozen over in jagged patches. He slipped once, catching himself on a shelf. Breathing fast, he forced himself to focus. He dragged the pallet jack under the stacked crates, but the wheels didn't move. Ice had frozen solid around them. He had to kick the base several times just to get it unstuck. By the time he pushed it out and back into the main warehouse, his hands were numb and his knees were trembling. Tully was waiting near Bay 2, checking his watch. 23 minutes, he said. 3 minutes late. "I couldn't get the jack unstuck," Liam said. "That's not my problem." "You want to keep this job, you learn to move faster." Liam clenched his jaw but said nothing. He walked the pallet to the belt, then headed toward the break room. He needed 5 minutes to warm up. Inside, it was cramped, just a microwave, a vending machine, and a few plastic chairs. A man in his 50s sat hunched over a bowl of instant noodles. He looked up when Liam walked in. "Freezer run?" the man asked. "First one," Liam replied. "I'm Dave, been here 7 years, you get used to it." 7 years. Liam sat across from him. "Has it always been this understaffed?" Dave shrugged. "Not always. It got worse when Phil came in, started cutting hours, said overtime's killing the margins. Now we don't even have a night crew, they just shove everything into the day shift." Liam frowned. "So how do you keep up?" "We don't," Dave said. "We fake it, skip scans, fudge counts, you'll see." Before Liam could respond, a voice outside the door shouted, "Break's over." He stood up and followed Dave back out to the floor. This time, he was assigned to receiving where customers picked up bulk orders. It was less chaotic, but slower, and gave him a chance to observe. A woman in her 60s was waiting at the counter, clearly confused. She held a receipt in one hand and looked around for someone to help. 2 workers were stationed nearby, a tall guy with headphones in, leaning against the wall, and a woman scrolling through her phone. The woman, name tag reading Shayna, didn't look up. "Excuse me," the customer said politely. "Is this where I pick up my order?" Shayna didn't answer. The customer tried again. "Hello, I have a confirmation for a 6-pack of storage bins." Shayna finally looked up. "Pickup's delayed, try tomorrow." "I received the ready for pickup message this morning," the customer said, holding out her phone. "Yeah, well, it's wrong," Shayna said, turning back to her screen. Liam stepped forward. "Let me check in the back for you." Shayna shot him a glare. "You're not trained on this station." "I can at least look," he said firmly. He walked to the back, checked the labeled bin area, and found the order sitting right there, clearly tagged and logged. He brought it out himself. "Here you go, ma'am. Sorry for the wait." The woman smiled in relief. "Thank you. I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong." You didn't do anything wrong, he said. As she left, Shayna muttered, You trying to be a hero now? Liam turned to her. That order was sitting 20 feet away. Not my fault if the system doesn't update, she said. You didn't even check. Shayna shrugged and walked off. Later that afternoon, Phil arrived. Liam recognized him immediately, mid-40s, polished polo shirt, clipboard tucked under his arm. He didn't acknowledge any workers as he passed. Liam noticed he walked quickly through the dock, barely glancing at conditions. When he reached the receiving area, Shayna snapped to attention, smiling wide. Hey, Mr. Carson, she said. Phil nodded. Any issues? Nope. All smooth today. Liam watched the exchange, then approached from the side. Excuse me, Phil, I had a few questions about safety on the floor. Phil looked him up and down. Who are you? New trainee, Calvin. Phil didn't offer a handshake. Safety concerns go to Jenna or Tully. I don't manage dock protocol. But aren't you the store manager? Liam asked. Phil frowned. And that doesn't mean I micromanage every pallet. I trust my leads. Then he walked away. By shift's end, Liam's shirt was soaked through. His hands were raw from the freezer work. Ollie caught up with him near the lockers. You handled that customer thing well, Ollie said. Most folks just ignore it. She didn't deserve to be brushed off, Liam replied. No one does, Ollie said, but that's how it goes here. People either burn out or stop caring. Liam looked around at the exhausted faces heading home, some limping, others barely speaking. He had seen enough for one day. The safety issues, the staffing cuts, the management indifference, it wasn't just a few bad apples. It was a culture that rewarded neglect and punished those who dared to care. Tomorrow, he'd go deeper. And he wouldn't be asking permission. Liam arrived half an hour before the first shift. Rain tapped lightly on the warehouse roof as he walked through the back entrance, still in the same worn uniform, a new pair of gloves tucked into his pocket. He had barely slept. The images from yesterday, the freezer, the cracked shelving, the way Phil dismissed accountability looped in his mind through the night. He wasn't here to observe anymore. While the floor buzzed with early movement, Liam pulled Ollie aside behind a stack of unopened shipments. I need to know something, Liam said quietly. Is there anyone here who's tried to do things right, raise issues, talk to corporate? Ollie looked uneasy. There was someone. Camilla, shift lead on the packaging line. She used to push back hard when things got reckless. Got into it with Jenna and Tully more than once. What happened to her? She's still here barely. They cut her hours and moved her to returns. It's kind of a dead-end station. She's lucky if she gets 25 hours a week now. Liam nodded. Where's the return station? Ollie pointed toward the far end of the warehouse, past rows of bulk racking and broken shrink-wrap machines. Liam found Camilla hunched over a desk near a stack of damaged goods. Her dark hair was tied back tightly, and her uniform vest had a tear near the collar. She was sorting through returned items, torn packaging, expired stock, mislabeled boxes. You Camilla? Liam asked. She didn't look up. Yeah, you need something processed? I heard you used to run the packaging line. Now she raised her head, her eyes narrowed slightly. Why do you care? Because I've seen how this place runs, and I want to understand why people like you get pushed out when you're trying to help. She studied him for a moment and leaned back, folding her arms. I reported a broken lift gate last year. It was dropping shipments 6 inches every time it lowered. Dangerous as hell. Jenna told me to file it in the logbook. I did. Nothing happened for 6 weeks. Then a temp got his foot caught between the platform and the dock, crushed 2 toes. Liam's face tightened. What did management do? Phil blamed the temp. Said he wasn't following procedure. When I brought up the logbook entry, Jenna said she never saw it. That's when they started moving me around. Hours got cut. Suddenly, I wasn't needed on the floor. Did you ever try going above Phil's head? Camilla gave a dry laugh. You think corporate wants to hear from a floor lead about broken gates and missing overtime pay? Please, they see his numbers, that's all that matters. Liam didn't respond. He didn't need to. He knew exactly how those numbers looked: lean, efficient, profitable. And now he knew what they cost. He thanked her and walked away, passing Jenna near the break room. She was chewing gum loudly, her voice raised as she scolded a worker for stacking boxes too slow. Liam waited until her shouting stopped before stepping in. "Hey, Jenna, you got a second?" She raised an eyebrow. "You again?" "I've been thinking, I want to put in for extra shifts. Maybe support Camilla in returns. She looks buried." Jenna rolled her eyes. "Why would I move you there? You're barely keeping up on the dock." "I just figured it might help, unless there's a reason she's stuck back there alone." Jenna's expression changed just slightly. Her tone became clipped. "She's where she belongs. You don't get to decide where people go." "I wasn't deciding, just suggesting." Jenna stepped closer. "You don't get to suggest either. You're a trainee who's been here 2 days. Stay in your lane." Liam didn't break eye contact. "Right." He turned and walked away. But he'd seen enough. By midday, he caught Phil walking out of the front office. It was time. Liam stepped into his path. "Phil," he said. Phil stopped and looked annoyed. "I don't take walk-ups. Talk to Jenna. I'm not Calvin." Phil blinked. "What?" "I'm Liam Trenton, CEO of this company." Phil stared at him. The annoyance vanished. His posture shifted. "You're kidding." "No." Liam pulled out his ID badge and held it up briefly. "I came in undercover because I kept hearing one thing in board meetings and seeing another in customer reviews. And now I've seen it with my own eyes." Phil's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Liam continued. "I've seen workers injured and blamed. I've seen safety violations ignored, and I've seen good staff punished for speaking up. You've created a culture that hides issues instead of fixing them." Phil finally found his voice. "Look, this is a high-volume store. We hit our numbers. That's not easy." "At what cost?" Liam said flatly. "You've been cutting hours to keep your budget lean, ignoring maintenance, and letting your leads treat people like disposable parts. That ends today." Phil's face flushed. "I've followed every corporate directive." "No," Liam interrupted. "You've manipulated every metric to make yourself look good. You're done here." Phil's eyes widened. "You're firing me?" "Yes." Several nearby workers had stopped moving. The floor had gone noticeably quieter. Liam turned and walked directly to the office at the back, where Jenna was reviewing a shipment log. She looked up and frowned. "Where are you supposed to be?" Liam didn't answer. He closed the door behind him. "I'm Liam Trenton," she squinted. "What?" "I own this company. I've been here for 2 days watching how you run this floor." Her mouth parted slightly. "You've been hostile to staff, ignored safety procedures, and retaliated against employees who reported issues. You've failed as a supervisor. You're terminated, effective immediately." Jenna stood up sharply, knocking her chair back. "You can't just—" "I can," he said calmly. "And I am." Security escorted both of them out within 30 minutes. Liam returned to the dock. He gathered the remaining team near Bay 6. "I want to be clear with all of you," he said. "What you've experienced here is not what this company stands for, and it won't continue." Some workers exchanged cautious looks. A few didn't seem to believe it yet. "Ollie," Liam said, turning to him. "You've been stepping up every day without being asked. That's leadership. Starting next week, you'll be promoted to dock lead with full training and pay." Ollie's eyes widened. "Wait, really? You've earned it." He turned next to Camilla, who had joined the group, arms crossed warily. "Camilla, I read every single report you filed over the past year. You were ignored. That ends now. You're being reinstated to your former position and added to the store's safety oversight committee." She didn't say anything for a moment, then simply nodded once. Liam looked out over the rest of the team. "I'm not going to pretend everything changes overnight. We're understaffed and things are behind. But I'll be working with a new district manager to restaff this location and address every safety issue. And any retaliation, any harassment will be met with zero tolerance." The room stayed quiet for a beat. Then Dave, the long-timer from the break room, gave a small nod. A few others followed. Liam clapped his hands once. "Let's get back to it. And if you've got something to say, my door's open." "Always." He stepped away and walked toward the office to begin organizing the next steps. Behind him, the warehouse slowly came back to life, but this time, something small had shifted. Not everything, not yet, but something, and it was just the beginning. The next morning, Liam arrived early again, this time in his usual clothes. No disguise. He entered through the front and walked the perimeter of the warehouse, clipboard in hand, alongside a temporary HR rep flown in overnight from the regional office. Two safety specialists followed a few steps behind, inspecting the damaged racking systems and malfunctioning dock equipment with quiet urgency. The mood inside the warehouse was different. Not relaxed, no one expected miracles overnight, but watchful, cautious. Workers kept their heads down, stealing glances as Liam passed. Rumors had clearly spread, but no one had approached him directly yet. By mid-morning, the regional operations director, Melanie HSU, arrived. Liam met her in the small office behind receiving, where he opened with a single sentence. "We're rebuilding this store from the floor up." Melanie nodded without hesitation. "I've already pulled the last 12 months of internal audits. There are gaps. We miss things we shouldn't have." "I want you here for the next 3 weeks," Liam said. "Not from a desk, on the floor. Talk to the staff. Watch how things run. We can't fix what we don't understand." Melanie agreed without protest. She had a reputation for being sharp, unafraid to make hard decisions. Liam trusted her to move quickly. Later that afternoon, he called a full staff huddle in the shipping zone. Pallets were neatly stacked to the side, clear walkways finally visible. Most of the team stood in loose clusters, hesitant but attentive. Camilla stood toward the front, her arms crossed but her eyes focused. Ollie stood beside her, now wearing a lead vest, his hands clasped behind his back. "I'm not here to give a speech," Liam said. "But I owe you a promise. No more band-aids. No more pretending numbers tell the whole story." He scanned the room, resting his gaze on faces he now recognized. This team has been stretched too thin for too long. That ends now. "We're hiring 8 additional employees over the next month, 3 for the dock, 2 for packaging, 2 for customer pickup, and 1 for night maintenance. Starting today, all broken equipment is being flagged and replaced. Every injury report will be reviewed by corporate HR directly. And every department will have a floor rep with a direct line to me." A few heads tilted up. Some nodded slightly. One of the younger workers in the back whispered something to the person next to him. Liam caught Camilla watching them carefully. "We're not perfect," he continued. "But if you're showing up, working hard, and treating people with respect, we'll back you up. If you're cutting corners or looking the other way, your time here is limited." He stepped away without waiting for applause. None came, and he hadn't expected any. In the days that followed, the environment began to shift in small, practical ways. The busted freezer jack was pulled and replaced. Employees were fitted with proper thermal gear. The safety team marked off hazardous shelving, and a third party was contracted to audit structural integrity. Broken fans were unmounted and replaced with industrial-grade models. Melanie walked the floor each day. Not as a figurehead, but actively asking questions, writing notes, checking the dock manifests herself. One afternoon, she found Shayna at the customer pickup counter, again scrolling through her phone while a customer waited. Liam arrived just as Melanie was speaking to her. "You weren't helping anyone," Melanie said calmly. "You left a customer standing here for 4 minutes." "That's not acceptable," Shayna shrugged. "They can wait. It's not like we're a restaurant." Melanie didn't flinch. "We're a service business. Customers don't owe us their patience." Shayna's tone sharpened. "I've been here longer than most of these people." "I'm not getting chewed out like a temp." Melanie raised her voice just enough to be heard clearly. "This isn't about tenure, it's about conduct. This is your official warning. One more customer interaction like that and you'll be let go. Understood?" Shayna didn't reply at first. Then quietly, "Fine." Liam gave Melanie a small nod as they walked away. Later that evening, he approved a request to move Shayna to inventory support, where customer interaction was limited. A second incident would mean immediate dismissal. Meanwhile, Camilla rebuilt her team slowly. One of her first changes was reinstating a peer check system on the packaging line where every loaded pallet was reviewed by a second set of eyes before being sealed for shipment. It added a few extra minutes per order, but returns dropped noticeably after just a week. One afternoon, she approached Liam in the break room, her expression unreadable. "I need 5 more hours a week," she said. "I'm not asking for overtime, just enough to train the new hires properly. If we don't onboard them right, we're just recycling turnover." Liam nodded. Approved. "Anything else?" she hesitated. "You're not going to forget about this place in a month, are you?" "I didn't come here to forget," he said. "I came here because I did forget. That's not happening again." She studied him for a beat, then gave the smallest of nods before heading back out. 2 weeks in, a new hire named Marcus, not the one who had quit previously, but a fresh recruit, flagged Ollie just before shift change. "There's a guy in receiving," Marcus said. "Tall beard, always wearing headphones. He keeps disappearing during rush. I've had to cover his station twice." Ollie took the report seriously. That evening, he stayed back and observed the rotation. Sure enough, during the peak sorting period, the man named Darren slipped behind the crates, phone in hand, headphones in. Ollie confronted him directly. "You've been skipping your slot. That's not acceptable." Darren didn't even look up. "I've been here 6 months. I don't need to be micromanaged. You're leaving others to pick up your slack. That won't fly anymore," Darren chuckled. "You're the new lead, right?" "Let me guess, got promoted for showing up early one day." Ollie didn't rise to it. "Final warning. Next time I write you up." The following day, Darren was missing again during a delivery rush. This time, Liam was informed directly, no confrontation, no second meeting. Darren was terminated by end of shift. No one protested. By the end of the 3rd week, the store's numbers hadn't skyrocketed, but accuracy had improved. Order errors were down. Employee injuries dropped to 0. And for the first time since the location opened, exit interviews included phrases like "management listens" and "things are changing." Liam returned to headquarters briefly on a Friday, but before leaving, he met the staff one last time on the dock floor. He didn't gather them for a speech or hold a formal send-off. He simply walked the aisles, shaking hands, asking what they needed, and listening. As he reached the end of the line, Dave, the older worker from early on, caught his arm. "You know," Dave said, "I've seen a lot of bosses come and go. You're the first one who came back with a bruise on your wrist from lifting boxes." Liam smiled. "That box fought dirty," Dave chuckled. "Keep showing up like that and people might just believe you care." "I do," Liam said. "Now it's on me to prove it." He left that day without ceremony, but with one clear thought in his mind: leadership didn't mean building from the top and handing down orders. It meant climbing down into the foundation, seeing what held the place up, and fixing what others had ignored. Not with slogans, with action.